Hello, this is the Hackman channel. As you probably already understood, today we are discussing the movie Venom and the following questions for consideration. How can a symbiote host cope with the regular feeling of intense hunger? Or a brief guide on how to feed a symbiote? And why does the symbiote Venom, who is a quite successful combat unit among his peers, as practice has shown, consider himself a loser?
On my planet, I am kind of a loser.
As an introduction, I will start by identifying the main differences between the earlier film adaptation of Venom in Sam Raimi's trilogy and the 2018 film. This is important in the context of the motivation of the new Venom as a character. Although his character and motivation are not fully developed, or more precisely, not fully told, they are still present and clearly expressed. For me, this is perhaps the most interesting aspect of the film. In my opinion, the most significant difference between these symbiotes lies in their goals. The symbiote from the Spider-Man trilogy did not have a goal as such. More accurately, the direct symbiotic connection with the host, in his case, resembles parasitism and was the main reason for his presence on Earth. And this presence apparently was accidental. Meanwhile, the new symbiotes, including Venom, had a clear objective and some sort of action plan for assimilating Earth. While they may not have planned to land specifically on Earth, it becomes evident during the unfolding of their motives that the comet from which they were collected by the Life Foundation wandered in space, with the purpose of searching for suitable worlds for assimilation. If we recall the history of symbiotes from the comics, their problem was that they became overly dependent on the moral character of their hosts. They were excessively dependent, to some extent even led by corrupted, bad hosts who hooked symbiotes on the hormones produced by the host's body when he feels aggression, most likely adrenaline and more. Want more adrenaline? Provoke the host into feelings of danger and aggression. Venom, from the early Spider-Man, was, in fact, doing just that, provoking Pete into destructive emotions. This substance enhances the properties of the host's body, and if a host is consumed by feelings of revenge, what could be better? I give you strength, and you give me adrenaline. However, with the new Venom, the story is entirely different. The new Venom is already a full-fledged social unit, and he does not depend on the emotions of the host. The memories and emotions of the host serve as a means for the symbiote to learn and adapt to the new environment, local humor, social institutions, and so on. As an educational resource for the symbiote, not only memories, but also communication with the host are utilized. Why doesn't Venom strive to control the host's emotions and mind? The only total control over Eddie's mind from Venom that I see occurs only at the moment of satisfying hunger. Eddie's unhealthy behavior after merging with Venom is primarily related to physiological changes within Eddie's body due to organ dysfunction, which affects the provocation of primal appetite, fever, and increased irritability. The symbiote actively interferes with the host's physiology and controls his body, but does not strive to control his mind. And isn't it simpler for Venom to control the host's mind, as his brother does, without explaining his goals and not threatening him, forcing him to be obedient, and also revealing his vulnerabilities? Venom not only gives Eddie the freedom of choice, but also allows him to solve his personal problems that take time away from Venom's main mission, and he even took on solving problems with his personal life. Well, of course, Venom does all this not because he's the sweetest guy, he's quite the jerk. I think it has to do with the fact that Venom has a fundamentally different view of exploiting the host, distinguishable from his peers. First of all, it is obvious that Venom is interested in the host displaying a broader spectrum of emotions: joy, sadness, admiration, love, and trust. Not just aggression and feelings of danger. There's already enough of that. And this matter is far from producing some happiness hormones that the symbiote needs. It is necessary for the host himself. Of course, provoking positive emotions in the host under conditions of regular stress and cannibalism is, to put it mildly, not quite an adequate endeavor, but the cause and effect relationship is quite simple. If you provoke a good guy only into destructive emotions, this will lead to what happened in the case of Spider-Man, the rejection of the symbiote by the host. Yes, the host can be eliminated, but finding another suitable one is an extremely difficult task, as practice has shown. Not all hosts are equally useful. Therefore, emotional support for Eddie Brock in places where it is possible is a banal, practical necessity. The main problem of the film is that the relationship between Venom and Brock is not fully revealed. They did not show it. Venom's intentions and his relationship with Brock changed too quickly. Perhaps the insufficient timing for this type of film affected it, but that's not the point. Thus, the host's emotions are not food for Venom. As they were before, they are only part of the service provided to the host. Feeding the symbiotes is quite banal by earthly standards. In an oxygen-saturated environment, symbiotes use the host's lungs to breathe, and accordingly use the host's digestive system to feed. If you decide to get your own symbiote, feeding him will be much easier than it may seem at first glance. Just follow a few simple rules. First, a lot of food is not required for the symbiote. Over the course of a day, Venom consumed only 2 heads of bad guys. He ate the head of the villain from the final scene after a certain period. The time is not specified, but it is clear that it was not immediately after the rocket explosion. Moreover, one of the heads consumed during the day was eaten while in symbiosis with another host. Consequently, the consumption of heads in symbiosis with Eddie is 1 piece per day. Not that much, right? Besides this, he practically ate nothing. More precisely, he tried, but it didn't work out. I'm not crazy enough to try to calculate the caloric content of Venom's diet consisting of human flesh. Moreover, it is evident that the human heads that Venom loves so much can be replaced with any other familiar protein food that Earthlings are used to, as symbiotes prefer it. This is not mandatory. From this follows the second rule: eating people is not necessary at all. In the comics, the symbiote Venom practiced cannibalism. Yes, it happened, but that was due to the sick bastards and maniacs being the hosts of Venom. It was a need of the host, not the symbiote. Our Venom is far from picky when it comes to food. If you skip the protein food, it can be replaced with other energy-rich foods, even fast food. Here we see the adaptation of symbiotes to Earth society, as well as, of course, the individual food preferences of the symbiote's host. And the third rule, the constant feeling of hunger will not subside. Eddie Brock regularly felt hunger, and this was associated with other physiological changes in his body after Venom settled in. One of the plot lines was dedicated to this, involving a new guy who used to be a doctor and examined Eddie, concluding that the parasite was killing him from the inside. Apparently, however successful the connection between the host and the symbiote is, an adaptation period is necessary after which the host's body should normalize. The doctor said that the body is at its limit, to which Venom replied that he would take care of it. And it turns out that he kept his promise, and all of Eddie's health problems disappeared. Well, at least visually, he looks better. The neurosis and fever are gone. And the disrupted metabolism, which was the cause of the increased appetite, has also normalized. Consequently, a wild appetite is one of the symptoms of the adaptation period. Yes, it's clear that Eddie's normalized appetite will be larger than that of an average person. Far more interesting, from a global plot perspective, is the question, why does Venom call himself a loser among symbiotes? And what does it mean to be a loser among aliens? As the narrative progresses, we learn that Riot, Venom's antagonist, has the status of a local or perhaps even a large-scale warlord in his environment. In addition, he possesses a special upgraded arsenal. This already indicates that the collective mind and societal structure in the format of a hive is not entirely relevant for the symbiotes in the film's lore as it was, for example, in the comics. Or they are relevant, but only partially. The presence of leadership and guidance among symbiotes is a natural phenomenon, but this was evident even with Venom. He quickly reconsidered his views on assimilating his peers into his own selfish ones. Riot, being the leader of a kind of symbiotic special forces, knows Venom, and Venom knows him, and Venom is a direct threat to Riot. Venom can resist Riot, no matter what Venom's social status is, and in his symbiotic environment, one can say for sure, Venom considers himself a loser not due to weakness. He is a strong and experienced combat unit among his kind. So, why? I think to address this question, we need to look at Eddie Brock, because Venom, by calling himself a loser, compares himself to Eddie and emphasizes that they have much in common. They aren't that different. So why can we call Eddie a loser? In a broad sense, a loser is an individual who experiences a series of repeated failures over an extended period, which are linked to some patterns such as cowardice, excessive self-criticism, the overachiever syndrome, and so on. There can be many variations. Does Eddie Brock fit this description? No, he does not. Yes, his discipline was lacking, and he didn't pluck diamonds from the sky, but he had a fairly successful career as a journalist, a media presence, mind you. But reality is full of disappointments. He faced what many encounter in the real world: multi-level corruption intertwined with the power of money, and as a result, a powerful kick from all sides. After this, Eddie is branded a hopeless loser. No guys, his problems can be described as a refusal of an individual to be part of the mechanism on which the entire system operates. For Brock, this means becoming an outcast for this system. In this case, a corrupt system. Therefore, Venom is an outcast among his own for similar reasons. They can be formulated as follows. Venom's individual beliefs and quirks in his behavior contradict the interests of the majority of symbiotes. Moreover, these quirks of Venom do not necessarily interfere with other symbiotes, rather they likely just cause confusion. I suspect that the bewilderment of other symbiotes is due to Venom's overly cautious and loyal attitude toward his hosts. In circles such as Riot, this may be a sign of weakness. Riot treats hosts as expendable materials subject to disposal and sees no value in them, unlike Venom, who tends to have even absurd attachments to his host. That is a symbiotic connection, not parasitism. This attachment of Venom to hosts could jeopardize other missions on other planets where they have been. As I mentioned earlier, such care from Venom for his hosts is by no means a manifestation of the kindness of an alien. Venom does this purely for selfish reasons, knowing that a strong symbiosis with the host will make him much stronger and more adaptable in the environment in which he wants to rise and stop being a loser. Today, you've learned a bit more about Venom. If you liked this video, subscribe to my channel, like, comment. Bye!